Jipige Makuti, you came in at just the right time. Before we begin, maybe we can do a little bit of housekeeping. Kindly let's all mute ourselves if that is possible. Don't unmute so that we can avoid distracting anyone. So if your device is unmuted, kindly mute yourself. Let me mute you all. Hey. Okay, so my name is Rahab Munene, and I'll be your speaker for today. I am a student at the University of Nairobi. I'm graduating soon. I am doing Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Korean, and I can say it's been an exciting journey to be here with New Life while I was also in campus. For me, New Life has been a great, inspiring company for me, especially in the health aspects. And even as I'll be your speaker for today, explaining to you more about giving you knowledge and information about diabetes, maybe we can say, if you have someone who's diabetic, or if you know someone who has very bad eating habits, especially with the fact that they eat too much junk food, or anyone else in general, kindly just invite them for the meeting so that as we continue, they can catch up with us. So without further ado, let me begin. So we all know that your health is your greatest wealth, and there's no price tag you can put upon your body. You cannot replace any part of your body. You cannot get a new heart, and you cannot get a new pancreas. So when we continue talking about health, you'll discover that we all fall onto a curve. There's a certain curve that we were built with, and God has put it into our lives. And it's the aspect of the fact that we age, even as we continue. You cannot avoid it. We are all going to grow old. Some of us will be lucky enough to die when we are old. And when you look at that graph, usually it falls in the aspect of, at some point when you're a child, you have a lot of energy, you're very vibrant, and then it reaches a certain point, you start getting tired. You know, just the working stage. We start getting to the working stage, working class. And then eventually, when you're about to retire, sickness starts coming. So, you know, we ask ourselves all through life, we are going through that curve, and we don't get the chance to enjoy the vibrant time we have, because by the time you're feeling like you're understanding life is when you start getting tired because of work. And usually the normal curve should fall straight line. Actually, it should. If you're a Christian or if you're a Muslim, if you check the people who are in those books, you'll notice majority of them, even at a very old age, are active. They were so proactive and they had so much energy. So we're asking ourselves, why is it that now things have changed from having a smooth curve to having the curve is going down? You know, we have so many questions, and it's happening to majority of the people. It's only 1% or 2% of human beings right now who manage to die with a straight line healthy curve. And when we see that we get to a certain age and the life expectancy goes down. At the age of 20, you're vibrant. At the age of 30 to 40, you start getting tired. And even right now, it's at 40. From 40 going onwards, we start getting sick. So what can we do to avoid this? Well, when you look at some of the issues that people develop, it's diabetes. Anyone, I'm going to do a survey with us right now. How many people here know someone who's diabetic? It doesn't matter if it's type 1 or 2. How many people here know someone who's diabetic? Just raise your hands and we can see. Personally, I have my aunt. Yes, thank you, Patricia. My aunt, yes, Kathy, the hands are getting raised. Many people do know. So for me, my aunt died of diabetes. I remember in about 2018, 2019, she had diabetes all through her life. She was born diabetic, died with diabetes. Because of diabetes, yani it finished her completely. I also know I had a friend in school who had diabetes. I also have another friend who had diabetes since they were young. So the thing is, diabetes is one of the most common diseases we have right now. And there's even a whole work and fundraising that has been done. We all know the diabetic, I don't know the name of it, but we always have it yearly that it goes on. It's because it's becoming something that we can't avoid. It's affecting the rich and the poor. And when you look at diabetes, thank you so much for the people who've raised their hands. Thank you so much. When you look at what diabetes is, we all know diabetes involves insulin and sugar. The sugar we take in our body and how it's processed in the body. It's so simple. When we take food, we happen to eat foods that are rich in carbohydrates, foods that are rich in proteins, and foods that are rich in fruits and vegetables. So all of that, when you eat those foods, some certain foods fall into the category of carbohydrates. And when we take it, digestion starts in the mouth because it's starch. So the food is broken down in our mouth, goes down into the system, and it's at this point where the brain registers there's sugar that has been taken into the body. It needs to be broken down. And that is the moment your pancreas starts producing insulin. And here it's where it gets tricky for people who are diabetic. The pancreas can or cannot produce insulin for some people. In a normal human being, the pancreas is supposed to produce just enough amount of insulin for you to digest and break down the glucose that you've eaten so that it can be converted to energy. So you see how we're going. So we want the foods we're eating to be converted to energy. But what happens to someone who's diabetic? We have two types of people who are diabetic here. The first type of diabetes, this is the kind of diabetes that develops especially for people at a very early age. Like, you remember I told you about my aunt. My aunt had diabetes ever since she was very young. So this kind of diabetes, these are people who are dependent on insulin 100%. Why? Because the pancreas is not manufacturing enough or barely even kidogo amount of insulin in their body. And when you look at type 1 diabetes, usually the sugar is too much in the system and the insulin to break down the sugar is barely there. And that is why you find people with type 1 diabetes have to take insulin or have to be injected insulin for their bodies to function. The symptoms are common. You'll have they pee too much. There are people who wanakuanga wamekazwa sana. They are always thirsty. They need water constantly, and then they're hungry. They really eat a lot because you see the body is really converting that food they're eating mostly into fats. Inafanya haraka haraka. So you see they need the insulin so it can break it down to energy because the food they're eating high convert to energy. It's just going down into fats, into storage. So that's why they get hungry a lot. Some even lose weight, some add weight, depending. Some also, they cannot see well and fatigue. You'll find people who are diabetic are very tired most of the times. And now we go to the second part. The people who are type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, these are people who either their body cannot at any cost produce insulin in their body. And when you look at these people, it's the type of diabetes that develops in the long run. Easy diabetes and you cannot mtoto. No. Now this is 100% lifestyle kind of diabetes. How you live your life is what type 2 diabetes becomes. Type 2 diabetes is when people are insulin resistant. They do kind of produce insulin, lakini hata insulin haisaidii kwa mwili because it's not even breaking down the fats. And majority of people you know who are diabetic are falling into the category of type 2 diabetes. If you're people who get 40 years and above or 30 years and above and develop diabetes, most of them develop type 2 diabetes. And you'll discover that majority of people who also develop type 2 diabetes have excessive body weight in their system. They're obese or overweight. They do not work out whatsoever. Their eating habits is terrible. All they eat is junk food and unhealthy stuff. And those are the people who fall into the category of type 2 diabetes. And when you look at this picture of mine here, you'll see the stomach turns food into glucose. Then glucose enters into the bloodstream. the pancreas creates insulin, which enters into the bloodstream. And it's at this point where they're supposed to work together. But now the cells of the body cannot take the glucose in because it hasn't been broken down to energy. Now it causes up a buildup of glucose in the mainstream. Yani inamaanisha the glucose builds up, and eventually it's converted into fat. So insulin is produced. It can be a little or enough. It's just, it doesn't have any use in the body. And there's nothing bad like being insulin resistant. I can tell you guys for sure, majority of people who develop diabetes type 2 at the age of 40 or 30 years is because they have had a bad eating habit ever since they were young. Hi, we're going to get into this. Let me just finish this one. We have another category of gestational diabetes. These are women who become diabetic, especially when they're pregnant. And usually the pancreas is producing more insulin compared to the amount of high-level blood sugars who actually get gestational diabetes give birth to children who are prone to becoming diabetic when they get older, because their genetics have been altered. And we all know when genes are altered, your child is going to inherit your genes, and that is why the statistics or the probability of your child becoming type 2 diabetic in the future is high. So this can also be avoided. It can be avoided by your eating habits and also supplementing on what you need. Remember, women or mothers, if you're here, you're pregnant, supplements and the lack of nutrients in your body can really affect your diet. And that is why so many people develop different types of diseases, especially when they're pregnant. So we have to work on this. There's a way we can work on this 100% for every single one of them, whether it's a mother, whether it's a child, or whether it's an adult. Any person who has diabetes or is developing diabetes, we can reverse this. And the question is, how do we reverse this? Well, the statistics shows purely that in the near future, majority of the people who are going to die because of diabetes. Why? Because they'll start having things like stroke because of the diabetes. They'll start having things like blindness. You cannot see. A heart attack will develop. Kidney failure, because your body is now full of toxins and it doesn't know how to get rid of it. And amputation. So many people who are diabetic have been amputated, especially miguu. Wengi sana have been amputated. So diabetes will be a cause of many deaths, not just dying because you're diabetic, but dying because you develop other health issues. And we have to avoid this. We have to remember that there are consequences for how we eat. And one of the consequences is adding weight, becoming overweight or obese. And it's simple. What are the causes of obesity? One, eating too much. We eat too much. Trust me, guys, eating too much is not good for the body. We all know your body just needs a small amount of food. Haihitaji kula sahani. Sometimes we eat a whole big plate of food 3 times a day. You're now tiring your stomach and your body. We need to eat just enough amount of food and avoid eating junk. Another thing is genetics. Remember, genetics is in the cell. If you look at how, okay, let's not get deep into that, but genetics is in the cell. And whatever you eat feeds your cell. So if you're eating very badly, your cells change the DNA over time. So you find out that when a woman has very bad eating habits, gets pregnant, gives birth to a child, the child is prone to having things like being overweight. Ananona aharaka. Why? Mtoto alizaliwa pia na complications za blood sugar, which we called insulin resistance. So because of genes, remember, whatever you eat, if you have no child at this moment, or if you're hoping to get another child in the future, you can really help them with their health if you change your eating habits. Another one is medication. Some medication really ruin our digestive system. They ruin the natural course of the body, making things to be stopped, things to be reversed, and your body starts fighting things it's not supposed to fight. Unajipata una obesity, unaanza ku add weight. An example is women who take the birth control pills. You'll realize different women adapt differently with it. Another thing is stress. Stress can make you add weight like crazy. Why? Because when you're stressed out, you're looking for an escape. And some of us look for that escape by overeating and eating food just to comfort ourselves, which ends up hurting us in the long run. And another thing is when you're stressed out, you're not sleeping well. Down here, as you can see, poor sleep. And when you're not sleeping well, the food is not breaking down, the body is not breaking down the food to energy. And finally, hormonal imbalance. Very frequent with women. And now we're entering into the era where men also have hormonal imbalance. If you find out you're a guy or a man and you have a very big gut, tumbo yako iko kubwa sana, imefura into a way inakaa mpira, 100% you have hormonal imbalance. And you need to start changing your diet. You need to stop eating all those meats, all those junk food you're eating, and start eating well. Hormonal imbalance is in both men and women. Men start developing hips, men start developing thighs. Yani, you're getting fat in areas a man should not be getting fat. And women, you start becoming fat, especially the upper body. Umenona sana the upper body. Your stomach becomes too big. Hormonal imbalance. And as you can see, the consequences, we talked about it: heart disease, diabetes, kidney failure, fatty liver, which is very dangerous. Remember, at least your liver you have to, but sorry, your kidney you have to, but a liver, once your liver starts getting sick, it can affect the entire liver. And once it does that, you're dead. There's nothing anyone can do. And cancer and high blood pressure. But there are things we can do to avoid all these things that we're talking about, to stop ourselves from becoming insulin resistant. And this is actually a good explanation of what insulin resistance is. It's you eat food, then your body produces insulin, but your cells resist the insulin that have been produced, and then the sugar is converted into fat, and then instead of you feeling energetic and having energy, you start feeling tired, which makes you hungry. Thus, you eat again. It becomes a cycle. You see, it's just a cycle. And that is how you start becoming diabetic and overweight. Some of us end up being big. But there's something we can do to avoid this. This is what I was talking about. Na nitasisitiza hii sana. Tafadhali, 129 people who are here. If there's anything you didn't hear, hapa, you have to pay attention. Number one thing is exercise. It doesn't matter how old you are, you need to exercise. I don't care if you're rich and you have all the beautiful cars in this world. For once, just leave your car behind once in a while, take a walk. You can walk to work, you can walk to church, you can walk a big distance, you can jog, you can go to the gym. Choose something that you must do to ensure your body is physically active. Because most of us live a life of unatoka kwa kitanda, you bathe, you walk around the house, get in your car, go to work, sit in your office from 8 to 5, leave the office, go back to your car, go back to your house. Yani the amount of time you're moving is very minimal. And usually your body should be moving more than it's sitting down. So kindly do a lot of exercise, be active, and do a lot of movements. The second thing is rest. You need to rest. It doesn't matter who you are. God made the world in 6 days, rested the 7th day. He was trying to act, he was giving an example and showing us human beings, you need to rest. And when I say rest, I don't mean just sleep. I mean you need to take a vacation. You need to relax your mind. You cannot work December to December, January to January, and you're not relaxing yourself. Unaanza kupandwa na pressures zenye hazifai. So you need to sleep enough amount of time, 8 hours every day, at least. That is the minimum. Sorry, not the minimum. That is the most. Don't oversleep at the same time. Do 6 to 8 hours a day. Sleeping, na sisemi sleeping unalala ukiamka. I mean sleeping vizuri. The whole night, no disturbance, and take a break. Go for that vacation. You deserve it. You deserve a vacation after you work. So take a vacation to relax your body and your mind. Finally, diet. And the most important, 80% of everything that you're going to do, includes diet. 100% the exercise, rest, and diet, they all revolve around each other. They cannot live without each other. You cannot live without exercise, you cannot live without rest, and you cannot live without diet. This is mandatory in your daily life. And when we talk about diet, you need to remember diet is something we're taking every day of our lives. Whatever I put into my mouth is diet. And remember, food can make you or break you. So you need to make a choice. What are you going to do? And when we were talking about being overweight or obese, I want to explain to you guys that you can calculate your BMI, know which category you fall in. Are you overweight? Are you obese? Are you underweight? Or are you normal weight? 100% make sure you're in the brackets of 18.5 to 24.9. So if you're there, take a book, take a pen, write it down. BMI equals to weight in kilograms after your height in meters, and then you square it. You will know where you fall into. And by the end of the day, you need to plan yourself. If you're anything above or below the normal weight, you need to work on yourself, and you need to speak to someone who invited you to this meeting to know how you can get yourself to be on the normal category. And without staying there, when you talk of diet, I want to get into this very quickly. Diet is simple. How you eat every day is what we were taught in school. Remember, there's a plate we were drawn for by your biology teacher or your science teacher. This is something we all know. Now we have to implement it as adults. The number one thing is to have whole grains. When I say whole grains, I don't mean white rice. I don't mean chapo. I don't mean mandazi. I don't mean spaghetti. I mean 100% whole grain. Chakula unayokula imesiagwa kimzima, whole. I mean 100% whole wheat maize flour. Something that has not been removed any single thing from it. So from now on, if you're going to eat any whole grains, do oats, do brown bread, not brown, do whole wheat bread, do brown unga imesiagwa, ya uji, ya ugali, ya chapati. There's brown chapati, guys. If you're wondering, there's brown mandazi you can make. You just have to use your unga. It's more fulfilling and it's better. And guys, whole grains reduces your appetite. Because when you're eating whole grains, you find yourself eating in very small portions. Hukuli sana. Do an experiment. Buy white rice and buy brown rice. Eat white rice. Utaona you'll want another plate of white rice. But when you take brown rice, it's very hard for you to serve yourself too much food because it's very filling to the stomach, because it has all the nutrients your stomach needs, and thus it's easily converted into energy. Remember, the foods we're eating are 100% sugar. Inaenda kwa mwili, it's converted immediately into fats. But if you're eating whole grains, it's converted into energy. The other thing we have is fruits and vegetables. You need to take 5 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. It doesn't matter what fruits and vegetables you take, just make sure you're mixing all the colors together. 5 to 13, I will give you an example. You wake up in the morning, have your watermelon, have your pineapple, have your orange. If you can, have a pawpaw. Lunchtime, ukieza, kula mboga yako, eat your cabbage. And if you can, even add some nyanya into it. You don't have to cook the nyanya every time. You can eat raw nyanya. You can eat cucumber. You can eat the green pepper even raw. No one said you have to cook it. You don't have to cook it. Supper, the same thing. Have your cabbage, have your fruits. By the time you do that every single day, your immune system will have built up. Your body will start fighting things that are necessary in your system. And to make things better, your cells become stronger. Meaning, if someone coughs on your face because they have a cold or it's the cold season, upati cold. We all see during the cold season, it's like everybody gets a cold, but there's that specific person you know who doesn't get a cold because their immune system is top notch. So you need to build your immune system to that level. The other thing is proteins. Eat plenty of plant proteins, not animal proteins. Wakenya, we love eating meat like crazy. Meat for us, it's almost a staple food. Ugali and meat, mchele and meat, chapati with meat. For one, stop eating those things. Try and do ugali na I'm trying to think what ugali can go with plant proteins, and it's not coming. But you can do ugali with mbosho. It won't be badly off. It's still nice. So do the plant proteins in plenty, reducing the animal proteins. Because you'll realize majority of the animal proteins we're eating right now, the animals have a lot of toxins in the body. Mtachinjiwa ng'ombe ilikuwa sick and you don't know. You go to the butchery, you just buy meat, you don't know what happened to the cow. Another thing is the chickens that we're eating, most of them are broiler. Broiler chickens grow in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, a chicken is growing and we are eating, smiling, we are happy. Do you know the amount of chemicals is in that chicken? Do you know the chemicals that was in that chicken? You're eating it now in your body, which is making and affecting your hormones. It's affecting your body. So plant proteins are good because imetoka kwa shamba. It has the nutrients that is necessary. So increase on your plant proteins, reduce on your animal proteins. Avoid milk. If you're a mother here and you're giving your child milk almost every day, now let me tell you, the milk we're now taking nowadays is very bad. Si maziwa ile ya ng'ombe ilikuwa inatoka directly, you boil, you take. It's bad because it has chemicals. And another thing is, nowadays, milk takes time to be digested in the stomach. I'll give you a story. When we were kids, my cousin used to love taking milk, breakfast, lunch, and supper. Every single meal of the day. Lazima maziwa. She had to have her cup of milk. Otherwise, you guys were going to have issues. And eventually, she started developing some very bad complications in her stomach. She had some sharp pains she couldn't avoid. It was very bad. So they took her to the hospital. Daktari akamwambia, listen, if you don't stop taking milk right now, mtoto ata-develop stomach cancer in the long run. Yeah, guys, it's serious. Milk, this is milk peke. So she had to stop taking milk completely. She stopped taking milk. She reduced it for the first month. Eventually, she was only taking milk for breakfast, ama when chai is necessary. And what I'm trying to tell you is all these animal proteins affect your body. The more you take them, the more it affects your body. It will affect your small intestines, your large intestines. It affects so many parts of your body, your kidney. You start having kidney failures in the body. So please avoid animal proteins, increase on your plant proteins, and finally, fats and sugars. We all know this is a very weak point for everyone. Why? Because some of us cook with gallons of oil. Tunasikianga ile phrase ya chakula yenye haina mafuta si tamu. We also know chai bila skari si chai. Well, fats and sugars, if you look at that pyramid, your fats are in your proteins, your fats are in your fruits and vegetables, and your fats are also in your whole grains. The sugar, the same. Sugar is in your fruits and vegetables and your whole grains. So why do we have to eat so much fats and sugars in the body? It's only converted into fat. So avoid this. But this is the pyramid we're all eating right now. Let's be honest. If you're eating a burger in Kenya right now for supper, when you will say, umefika, you have money, you're doing well for yourself. If you can afford to eat chicken twice a week, oh my gosh, well, you're lucky. People say you're lucky. You're not lucky. You're killing yourself. You're digging your own grave. So you need to avoid eating this, but it's hard. As much as nasisitiza, let's be honest, it's not easy to eat the healthy way and leave and abandon this. And that is where New Life comes in. There's something you're missing in between. Because even if I told you to start eating a healthy lifestyle, how many of you think they'll do it? If you think for 100% sure, from now on till you die, you're going to eat a healthy lifestyle, and only once in a while, which is maybe once a month, will you cave and eat unhealthy? If you think you'll do that, just raise your hands. That's the only question I can, because personally, I don't think I can. It's not easy. We all know it's not easy, but what do we have to do? Hiya. Now, let me explain to you the difference between us and white people. White people have so many scientific advisory boards that have been developed so that they can come up with manufacturing of medicine or supplements. Now, New Life does not fall into the category of medicine. We fall into the category of supplementation. When we talk of scientific advisory board in New Life, it was first founded by Dr. Arthur Fast. Dr. Arthur Fast was the father of toxicology and pharmacology. Hiyo ni ngumu kusema. The Kikuyu in me inateleza hiyo, poleni. But Dr. Arthur Fast was the father of toxicologists, and because he was one of the pioneers in toxicology, he discovered something that was called chemotherapy, him and his team. Now, he was doing his research in the early 1950s. This was after the Second World War. So many diseases like diabetes and cancer had just started affecting people, and people didn't understand why. These diseases weren't there in the 1910, in 1920. Why is it here in 1950? So when he did his research, he discovered that majority of the people who suffer from things like cancer and diabetes, it's because of the lifestyle they're living and the diet they eat. So he said, instead of us coming with solutions that are going to harm us in the long run, why not find a way to prevent it completely? So Dr. Arthur Fast partnered with In Your Life. He came up with his own scientific advisory board because his prayer was to find a solution to stop and reverse these issues we are having, to prevent us from having diabetes, cancer, heart attack, stroke, all those lifestyle diseases we know of, and die peacefully if you're lucky enough. So Dr. Arthur Fast partnered, came up with an amazing scientific advisory board. They discovered amazing products among their research, because in their research, they started using foods to provide the supplements that they need. So when you look at In Your Life, majority of the supplements that have been manufactured are straight from the farm, meaning wanachukua maize that has been grown 100% organic, meaning no GMO, no pesticides, no insecticides. These foods have no chemical whatsoever. They use the nutrients that are in each and every food, and they manufacture the supplements or the products that is needed. And one of them was ProVitality. ProVitality is an all-rounded product. It covers the entire pyramid that we've seen, because it has one of the most amazing products called Munene. Now, I don't know if, it's not here. Our number one and best product that I tell people is one of the best products you're ever gonna have for yourself is Munene. Why? Munene feeds your cells. Guys, I told you diabetes develops from the cells. We all saw how these challenges develop from the cells. Now, what Munene does, Munene makes your cells stronger, the membrane especially. How? Munene is going to provide your cells with vitamin B and vitamin E, vitamin K, lipids, and sterols. Now, when you look at your phone or your laptop, whichever device you're using, you'll see there's an unhealthy cell and a healthy cell. Majority of us who are feeling tired, who have overweight, ama tumenona, ama you're not going to the toilet. You know, some of us don't take a long call for 5 or 3 days or 2 days. It's because your cell is so unhealthy, it doesn't know how to get rid of the toxins that are in the body. Now, here's where Munene comes in. It makes the cell membrane permeable, which means nutrients, chakula yenye unakula, is easily absorbed into the system, and the toxins is taken out of the system. That is the cell. Now, if you have a healthy cell, insulin is easily absorbed into your cell, and thus it easily works into the body. Insulin has an easier time getting into your cell and functioning than when you have an unhealthy cell. The other thing we have is carotenoid. Carotenoid is an immune booster because it is made with fruits and vegetables. Our carotenoid is so good because it will boost your immunity by 37% in just 20 days. So that means the cells, the organisms that are inside your cell, zinakuwa stronger. Thus, they can fight off diseases and other toxic cells in your body, and you have a warrior of cells in your body. That's the best way to describe it. Another thing we have is the omega-3 salmon oil plus, and this is one of the best products for children especially, and for people who are growing older at this point. Omega-3 is good because it will reduce inflammation in any part of the body, whether brain, whether heart, whether on your legs, whether in your chest. Omega-3 reduces inflammation. Remember, inflammation happens to everyone, because when you're having a cold, there's something that is being inflamed also in your lungs. It is why we have challenges breathing when you have a cold, because in some way your lungs have also been inflamed kidogo, especially with mucus and water in it. So omega-3 comes in to reduce that inflammation. Omega-3 is so good for children because it will help your children function better in school, because it will boost their brain activity. It makes them smarter. Remember, ini mafuta ya samaki. Another thing we have is the essential vitamin and mineral complex. And this product is so good because it contains the vitamins and minerals we cannot manufacture in our body. Remember, the minerals and vitamins we can't manufacture. Majority of them, we need to take them in through the fruits and vegetables and through the whole grains, all these things that are necessary in our bodies, we need to ingest it. And thus, sometimes we lack the necessary vitamins and minerals, and that is why Neolife comes in with the essential products, because it will supplement in what you do. And the best thing about it, it will increase digestion. And because you already have TreeNN, the absorption of the vitamins and minerals and the usage of the vitamins and minerals in your body become easier. Now, when away from all this, ProVitality, which is one of, actually it's the best product which I can recommend to anyone who has any challenge going on. If you're diabetic, you can start with ProVitality, because ProVitality will work on your cells. And like I said, whether you're diabetic, whether you're overweight, whether you have cancer, whether you have a heart attack or whatever, it is your cells that are weak at this point and sick. It's because your cells are sick. So what can you do to strengthen them so that whatever, even if a doctor gives you medication, the medication is it's well utilized in the body. Now that's the work of TreeNN. Now TreeNN, away from not TreeNN, ProVitality, we have another amazing bunch of products, especially good for people who are diabetic. The number one is fiber tablet. Fiber tablet is very good for people who are diabetic because it will reduce the speed at which refined carbohydrates are absorbed into the bloodstream. That means the sugar, so that the pancreas can regulate the amount of insulin in your body. Remember, we talked about digestion happening in the mouth. So what fiber does is reduce your absorption into the system so that your pancreas can function at a normal rate. Another thing with fiber tablet, it will reduce your food intake. Remember, we talked of type 2 diabetic people who end up having hunger spells. Wanaanza kusikia njaa haraka. So fiber tablet, it gives you a sense of fullness kwa tumbo. You know, what does fiber do? Let me give you an example. Fiber acts like a cotton wool or a sponge. What it does is it absorbs the amount of food or water in your system so that it can make you feel ni kama umeshiba. So instead of you overeating the way you're used to, fiber retains the food you have. Thus, the utilization of the food and nutrients you've taken becomes at a much slower rate, increasing the amount of insulin usage, reducing the amount of hunger you have. Reduce your njaa. And another one you have is CoQ10. CoQ10 is very good for people who have heart issues. It's also good for regulating your blood sugars. It will also prevent cancer and reduce the frequency of migraines. CoQ10 is an energy booster for your cells. It will work so well with the mitochondria. Mitochondria is used for giving your body energy. So the work of CoQ10 is to make your cells energetic and strong and healthy. And another thing we have is the botanical. Now, this is one of the best products actually for people who are diabetic. If you cannot afford anything else, I'd suggest you take yourself a botanical, because with the botanical, it will regulate your blood sugars to just the amount level, haifiki beyond 6. You know, ukienda kutest your insulin, it will maximize the insulin receptor function. It will also optimize insulin uptake, and it also manages your glucose. So when you look at our botanical has all those nutrients that are necessary for regulating the sugars. You see all these spices we cook with? That's what botanical has. It has a lot of curcumin in it. It has cinnamon in it and it has turmeric in it. And if you're there and you're thinking, oh, wow, kumbe, that's all it's made of. It's also made of more products, but you can steal the trick. Whoever is there and you don't have diabetes, steal this trick from your life. Every day when you wake up, drink a hot cup of water that contains cumin, cinnamon, and turmeric. If you do that for the rest of your life, your insulin resistance will reduce. And finally, now we have the weight loss program. If you're there and you're feeling you're overweight or you're obese, not feeling, you are. No, when I say feeling, it's different. Some people feel like they're not fat, but they are overweight. So if you're overweight or obese and you need to lose the weight so you can be healthier, we have a program for you. And one thing I like about our program is if you also have a challenge of avoiding, if you skip, you know, the people who skip meals a lot, but they are still overweight. Now, what Neolife Shake does, it will also regulate your blood sugars because it has a glycemic response. That means it will control your fat burning in the system. That means it will burn the fats in your body. It will burn the fats in your body and change them from fats to energy. So it will also give you more energy to reduce you from having insulin resistance. It will also prevent insulin resistance, help you lose weight. Our Neolife Shake is so good for anyone who wants to buff up, add muscles into their system. And also we have the Neolife Tea. Neolife Tea is very good for giving you energy throughout the day. It can be your tea meal when you want a break to drink something. Instead of taking a soda, you can have our Neolife Tea. It's very good for helping you burn fats. The same, it converts your fats to energy, increasing your energy, reducing your fats, helping you lose weight. So the products with Neolife are many, and there are many, guys. What I can say is simple. I see we have people who raise their hands and people who have questions, but that's it, guys. When you talk of diabetes, I've made it sound like a very complicated topic, but it's not. Because majority of us human beings suffer from insulin resistance, and some of us are heading to become diabetic because we are pre-diabetic. And the only way you can avoid it is eating a healthy lifestyle. It's as simple as that. Just change your diet from eating unhealthy to eating healthy. And 100%, if you know anyone who's diabetic, they understand because daktari alishawaambia waache kukula vibaya. But there's also a way where they can reduce their sugar levels from becoming too much. Insulin spiking, sugar spiking. So we all know that. So my just the last point I can leave you guys with is there's time to make a difference. And if you're a mother, tafadhali, make a difference, not just for yourself, for your kids. Because your kids will get affected with these things if you keep feeding them the wrong foods right now. So make a difference for your family and for yourself. They're your number one priority. And trust me, they will thank you when they get older because they'll understand how they have avoided all these issues. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome back Fred. Asante sana.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rahab. That was amazing, 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 amazing. And I mean, we cannot add anything to that. You've just done it so well. You've done it perfectly. I can see the reviews on the call. It's just amazing. And to think that you're in campus and you're doing that kind of presentation, that just tells us that your mom has been able to duplicate herself. That's a new generation talking right there. We are truly, truly proud of you. That's the future of Neolife. And that's what happens when you get into Neolife. You grow as a person, you become a leader, you become an orator, you become a presenter, you become an expert in nutrition, on matters health. And that is what is available for you guests. If you're a guest on the call and you're maybe looking at it and wondering, can I do it? Will I be able to make it? If Rahab can do it, you can do it. I tell you, we have a training system. You can attend the Neolife University and you will grow and become a nutritionist, an expert, as well as an entrepreneur. So we are coming to the end of our session. And as usual, this recording will be available a little bit later today. I can see the compliments are coming in fast and thick. And, it's just amazing. It was so informative. So this recording will be available a little bit later today. So you can just go through it and share it with a friend and let us change people's lives. But if you're there and you're a guest, you have two options. You can either buy the products from the person who invited you, or, which is what I prefer recommending, join and become a distributor of Neolife so that you can buy the products for yourself and also start making a positive difference in other people's lives. You see, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. You have gotten this information. Don't just sit on it like it was just another presentation right there. Share it with somebody else. And better still, join, become a distributor. Take care of the health of your family, because diabetes happens to everybody. It has no warning. I mean, by the time you're realizing you have the symptoms, you go there, you're told your sugar levels have gone haywire, you're already in the danger zone. So rather than wait until you're sick, if you become a distributor, you get a real chance of preventing yourself from getting diabetes and indeed other lifestyle diseases that are out here. So become a distributor and start shopping at wholesale prices and also change other people's lives. Now, if you want to know how to work the business, how the business works, tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock, we'll be having a great leader, an engineer, all day from South Africa. Will be taking us through how to build this business. So you can join us tomorrow at 8 o'clock. The same link that you have used today, you can use it tomorrow. And you come in and learn, how can you be able to make money from Neolife? How can you be a partner of Neolife? How can you join this wonderful community of people who are focused on improving each other's lives and improving the lives of the 50 million Kenyans and even indeed East Africans, more than 100 million East Africans out there. So you can learn how to do that tomorrow at 8 o'clock if you can join us on the same link and get to participate in that meeting. Otherwise, it was great chatting with you guys. I look forward to seeing you again next Sunday when we'll be tackling another aspect of health. And guys, I'm excited. I know Rahab has a bright future with Neolife. That girl will be a president's team member in the very near future. So thank you all. God bless you. Have a restful night. Thank you again, Rahab. And we'll see you on Sunday when we actually meet again on this platform and discuss matters health. Thank you and bye.